All right, so today in section 3, chapter 5.3, we're going to be looking at solving a linear system using the elimination method. All right, so the first two sections, first one we went over graphing, second one we went over solving a linear system by substitution. Today we're going to look at elimination. So let's look at the steps, and I have all three of them wrote out here too. So this right here is going to be our focus for today. So 4 steps. First step is going to be multiply one or both equations by a certain constant, so at least one pair of like variables has the same or opposite coefficients. So this is going to help us so that we can eliminate one of the variables, because like I said in section 2, we can only solve for a variable if there's only that one single variable. We can't, if there's an x and a y, we can't solve for it. So that's why substitution, we subbed in terms of x, so we replaced a y in terms of x so we could solve for x, or we replaced x in terms of y so that we could solve for the y. So we want one variable in particular to be able to solve these equations. So elimination, we're going to eliminate one of them and then solve for the other. Okay, second step is going to be add or subtract the equations to eliminate one of the variables. So we'll just perform simple addition and subtraction, see what we have left. And what we do have left is going to be in step 3. So then we solve it, solve what we have left for that variable that we chose to solve for. And then when we know what one of the variables equals, using step 3, we're going to take that number that we get from step 3 and we're going to replace it with its respective variable in one of the original equations, plug it in and solve for that second variable, and then we'll be able to have the answer that we need, that coordinate, that x and y value that we need to solve and to get our answer for the solution of this equation. So let's look at one example here. Example 1, this is also in the book if you want to follow along and can't read what I'm doing. We have 3x plus 2y equals 4. This is number 1, equation number 1, and we have 3. Actually, I'm going to line these up, that'll be better. And then I have 3x minus 2y equals -4. Okay, so the coefficients of the y terms are opposites, so we don't even have to do anything with trying to change the signs or anything, because this is what we're looking for. These two, you see those are going to cancel each other out. 2y, if I just put a plus sign and say I'm going to add these two equations together, you go down by the column. So 3x plus 3x is 6x. 2y plus -2y is 0. And then 4 minus 4 is 0. Okay, so if it's already set up like this where one's going to eliminate, then that's awesome because that saves us some work. So we get 6x equals 0, divide by 6, so x equals 0. All right, so that will go here in for step 3. So this is our step 3, that result from our equation once we work it all out. So I can write that out here in my coordinates. I know my x is 0, and I just need to find out that y. So I take my x value, I'm going to plug it in just like what we've been doing in the last section as well. I'm going to take 0, plug it in for x for one of these. I pick one, it doesn't matter. I'm going to choose to plug it into that top one. So 3 times 0 plus 2y equals 4. 3 times 0 is 0 plus 2y equals 4. That goes away. And then I just need to solve for y, so divide by 2 on both sides, and I get y equals 2. So x equals 0, y equals 2, and that, folks, is my answer for example 1. So that one was a simpler one. We already had the stuff eliminate. Now, our next example, we're going to look at here. And you know, if you want to stop the video, you can. And I would suggest maybe trying to look at number 1 there in the monitoring progress on page 249. Check that out, try to solve it so you can work one by yourself before we get to class. And then if you have any questions, this will help you maybe think of some questions that you might be able to ask during class. Okay, let's move on to example 2. Now, it's going to give us one where it doesn't automatically have numbers that are going to eliminate, like before we had the 2y and negative 2y, those that were opposites, because we want either the same or the opposites. Now we're going to start a new one that doesn't work that way. So we got one extra step. Here we're actually going to have to perform step 1. So we have negative 10x plus 3y equals 1. That is number 1. And then our number 2 equation is negative 5x minus 6y equals 23. So now both of them are set up to where we could solve either way. We could solve for x or y. Basically, it would take about the same amount of effort. The book, they decided to multiply by negative 2 and cancel out the 10s. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and it doesn't, you could do that for either one, because if you multiply, well actually, I'll do something different than the book so then you can compare those. So that'll be good. I'm going to multiply this one, the whole thing, times positive 2, and then that's going to get me my y's to cancel out, because I'll end up with 6y minus 6y, and that will be what I want. So if I multiply the whole thing, you got to multiply everything. So the negative 10x, the 3y, and the 2, everything's multiplied by 2. So I'm going to write that out. Negative 20x plus 6y equals 2. And that's kind of the tricky part, is you have to remember you got to multiply the entire thing. If you only do this side, then it's going to give you a wrong answer. So you got to make sure, remember to do it throughout the whole thing. And then the bottom one is just going to stay the same. So negative 5x minus 6y, y, not x, jeez, minus 6y equals 23. So top one changed, bottom one didn't. And I just need to work this out. All right, so negative 20x minus 5x will give me negative 25x, 6y minus 6y is going to give me a 0. And you can leave that blank if you want to. The book leaves it blank. I like to put a 0 just to show what we got. And then I get 2 plus 23, which will give me 25. So now I'll rewrite it as negative 25x equals 25. And I need to do step 3 now. So divide by negative 25 on both sides. Then I get x equals 25 divided by negative 25. The 25's cancel out, and I'm left with negative 1. So x equals negative 1. Go ahead and write that out here. And now I just need to figure out what my y is. So I take negative 1, and I say, hey, which one of these, I need to plug it into one of these two originals, which one of these do I need to plug it into? Well, it really doesn't matter. You're going to get the same y value either way, but so it's just up to you. I'm going to just go ahead and choose number 1, equation number 1 here, and plug it in. So negative 10 times negative 1 plus 3y equals 1. I like it because it's got only the 1 on the right side, smaller number, so it'd make the math just a little bit easier. Negative 10 times negative 1 is positive 10. Plus 3y equals 1. Now, we're just back to that basic algebra we learned in chapter 1. Move the 10 over by subtracting, and then I get 3y equals negative 9. Divide by 3 to get to that y. So y equals negative 3. X equals negative 1, y equals negative 3, and then those are my 2 coordinates. So if you want to check your answer, just like what we did in section 1, you could plug in the negative 1 for x, negative 3 for y, check to see if the left equals the right side, and then do the same thing here, negative 1 for x, negative 3 for y, if you want to check your answer. Okay, if you're working on an odd, you can check your answer in the back. But either way, I would probably suggest checking your answer. And then you can guarantee you get it right. But that is going to be what we're looking at here in chapter 5.3. And so just two examples here using elimination. So remember, we have to eliminate one variable, and it's up to you. You get some choice with solving these equations. It doesn't matter which way. Some ways will make it easier for you, some ways will be harder, but that's up to you. Okay, so go ahead and jot down some notes and bring those to class. And I would suggest, just taking a look at 1, 2, and 3 on page 249 of the monitoring progress. Take a look at those, try them out before you come to class, and then we'll be able to get ready to rock and roll with some work, and I'll be able to help you guys out for the entire class. So we'll try out this flipped classroom deal, and I think it can help, because I want to be able to help you guys for your whole entire homework assignment. And then we'll get it all done in class, and then your homework is just to watch a video and take little notes. Thanks, guys.